Morning, my friend.
Morning.
How are we?
We are good, ready to go, ready to get the discussions going. Good. How are you?
Also good. Navigating the energies, I have to say. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride at the moment for anybody out there who's feeling these energies.
Feeling it?
It's okay. It's definitely sort of up and down, but as you always say, the only way is through.
The only way is through when you're not alone. So yeah, we're feeling it. All
Absolutely not alone. Also, just to say, Tazy, I just wanted to say to the viewers, apologies for not posting a video last week.
Mm-hmm.
We had load shedding going on.
Difficulties.
In South Africa. So, and we weren't load shedding at the time, but it had affected obviously the Wi-Fi sort of consistency. So we were battling with getting really kind of consistent Wi-Fi. So I was losing you, you were losing me. It wasn't going to be a great video. But here we are. So Tazy, what is the question that we're asking today?
Oh, so following on from our video last week, our recording last week, or the week before, the question was, who am I? So we're following that up with the question, what is my purpose?
Absolutely. What is my purpose?
And this, I think, is a conversation we have so often. We've had so often, and we continue to have.
Yep.
And I think it was just, we were thinking of what is the next topic, and it was already one of the topics we discussed, but just felt like the next natural question to ask. So.
Absolutely, babe. And I think, just to let viewers know that, we intuit what we feel is kind of the right question to ask. It's not something that we sit and plan for weeks in advance or whatever. We literally like, okay, what feels relevant?
Right. Yeah.
What feels right for this moment, in this time, in this space. And I don't know about you, Tazy, but I definitely have been having a lot of people ask me about how do I determine, or how do I figure out what my purpose is?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
I mean, it's I would say probably one of the top asked questions that I've been asked in the last 2 years. No question.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, I would say in the past few months, it's definitely been one of the top 3 questions I've had in conversations with, friends, clients, anyone that I've actually just sat on and had like a solid conversation with. That's really been one of those questions.
And even sort of post 2020, I mean, in my coaching space, this is always, it's always been a question.
Yeah.
But I want to say the frequency behind the question now is different.
Yes.
There's definitely, people are asking it now with much more intent than in the past. I used to find that it would be something I would introduce into a coaching session or a holding space session or a circle session or whatever. This is now pre-2020, and people would go, oh yeah, okay, we'll go away and think about it. And it was sort of like peripheral.
Yeah.
It was external. Let's word it like that. Whereas now, there's definitely this kind of like, well, there's a want. So people are asking the question themselves, whereas before maybe we were posing the question.
Yes.
There's way more people asking that question themselves, and they're digging deep for this. They're realizing that this is a deep-seated question.
It has deep meaning. It has deep meaning. It's not just a ticking a box and getting a vocation and getting a check kind of thing. People are, and this is one of the gratitudes I have for the time we've had over the past 2 years, to be with ourselves so much more that we've had to do introspection and ask those questions. It's really deeply asking ourselves, like, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? What do I what do I feel passionate about? Like it's
Exactly.
and a lot of people are now coming, like you say, from a different place. It's not so much motivated by a bottom line and a check at the end of the month.
Oh no. No, and I mean, so that's a great starting point, I think, for this conversation. Is, purpose is not, again, a lot of people think, okay, well, if, purpose is linked to my career, it's linked to my work.
Yeah.
That is an extremely kind of linear way of perceiving this.
Yeah.
Again, my favorite word, when we start talking about purpose, we really are going to move into the quantum realms.
Absolutely.
of what it is that we're talking about. And I've had a huge, I want to say, sort of awakening, or an awareness around purpose in the last, I want to say probably 2 months.
Yes.
A real, which I will share. So, but I think your point, just to go back to the link to work kind of thing, is, everyone's talking about this mass resignation, and people are just saying, can't do it anymore, can't go back.
Done with that.
And
yes.
Yeah, done with that, and when you say, well, what are you done with? I can't go into spaces that don't feed my soul.
No.
I can't go and do something for, 8 hours a day, 9 hours, some people, into
even longer. Yeah,
11, 12 hours. That just leaves me stone cold. That isn't feeding my soul in some way, so I mean, there's those levels, multi-dimensional levels of realization.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that it's not just the work that I do, it's the environment, it's possibly the people, or the that are in those environments. It's
I mean, it comes down to, how do I really want to use my energy, and who do I want to spend it with, and what do I want to spend it on?
Absolutely.
Those right. I think have been real kind of like aha moments for people. They've realized that they've spent far too many years in a concrete wall space with windows that don't open, with fluorescent lighting. I mean, the list goes on. These are all things that really keep you, they keep you where you are. I don't think they help you thrive in any way. I'm not saying that there isn't a place for that in our society, but I think if you are there and you're not feeling like you belong there, then you need to be asking yourself these questions.
Love that word, feeling. Yeah. So this is not, it's not
the mind again.
It's not the logic. It's not the mind. No. This is all about what is it that you're feeling. And I think I really want to stress that. And just when you were saying about, the environments and stuff and the stress levels, Tassie, I mean, you go back to people's stress levels from the moment they wake up, it's like, okay, now you've got to find your transport or whatever it is, and then you've got to sit for hours on end in traffic, which, we know, I suppose, in most countries, but certainly in ours, it's not a pleasant experience.
Not at all.
It's massively stressful. So I think that's the other thing. We know that all of these elements create denser frequency. Totally. Denser energy, as soon as you're stressed, or you're angry, or you're frustrated, these are these lower kind of
vibrational,
vibrations that keep us stuck in places that truly don't make us happy.
No, they don't serve us at all. And actually, I mean, I'm gonna touch on my own personal story quickly, but in actual fact, all those things you spoke about, stress, environment, all of those things, eventually you will start feeling a type of way if you actually are paying attention to yourself, like really tapping into where you are and sitting with yourself. Yeah. I mean, and my body literally was telling me, this is just not working for you. I mean, it was just, there was no question about it. And I'll never forget that day. I called you actually. And I was on my way to like a major board meeting, and I just said, this is it for me. I'm here and no further.
Yep.
And I had no plan. I had no way. I just knew this wasn't right. And it was either I get out or I was just going to get worse. There was no coming back from where I was. And I remember giving in my notice that same day. And that was it. And I've never looked back.
Yeah. No, that was a profound day. But I mean, you know, maybe just to journey a bit further, Tassie, and share with the viewers the manifestation of that in your physical body. I mean, that's been a journey and a half.
I mean, it's different for everybody. And so the question is, are you paying attention or not? For me, you know, are you having headaches daily? You know, that's not normal. That's not in any way okay. If someone tells you that, that's not okay. What are you feeding your body? Look, we're all guilty of, you know, not always treating our bodies the best, but what are you doing that is it's your survival kind of way of getting through every day? Is it having a energy drink and smoking and, you know, all of those the usual kind of suspects that we see in corporate? For me, my body was literally shutting down. I remember the last day was actually, I was on crutches. I'd just come back from a flight from Johannesburg, having worked there, I think, for a week just prior. And I walked in and it's like nobody took me seriously. They just thought, oh, I'm just, you know, this is just an act. I'm just really laying it on thick. And I was like, no, my body is literally saying no more. I was having swelling in joints, pain all over. I mean, sleep was non-existent. It was, I can't, you know, we could talk about it for days, the symptoms I had, but it was, if you were in my circle at the time, you'd know.
Absolutely. I mean, it really was, and it was years of journeying through that.
Out of that and back to self. It was a long time. So listen to your body is all I'm saying. Feel if where you are at is right for you, because it will manifest, and the body is often the last place that it will show up.
That's so true, because there's dis-ease.
Yes.
So, you know, we talk about this word disease, all right, but break it up. Where is the dis-ease in the body? We are energetic. We are, you know, we are chi. We are energy. So that needs to flow. And when that can't flow,
when you've got blocks.
And you've got blocks, something is going to give, and the body will absolutely tell you. We just ignore the messages.
You just pop a pill.
Yep. Exactly. Or as you say, you know, mask it with know, copious cups of coffee or whatever. That was my strategy.
That is true. I mean, like I said, the usual suspects are the caffeine, the boosters, the junk food. I know that all too well.
So, okay, so let's get back to core here, and let's talk about purpose. So, you know, I mean, for me, we know prior to the incarnation, or as I call it, the iteration of this avatar. Okay, if we go back to our conversation in the last video around, you know, who are we? What am I? I mean, we know what our purpose is prior to the incarnation, right? We choose the purpose. I mean, I think this is where for a lot of people it gets a little bit woo-woo, but it's fact. You know, as souls and spirit, okay, so this beautiful unique expression of God, the spirit that we are, our source. When we're choosing this iteration into this avatar, we know exactly why we're coming to planet Earth. And let's just be straight up and honest. This Earth journey is hard school. No, we don't come to Earth just to kind of like smell the roses. And I mean, we don't, right? So, I mean, there's some schools of thought that say the reason we choose to incarnate in an Earth existence is because the soul, it needs to learn, and the way it learns is through the tough stuff.
Yes.
so all of these things that we have to navigate through. And that's why we always say, when you hit with stuff, do the work. Do the through.
Got it.
Because otherwise, then are you preventing, or are you resisting, maybe a different, better word, the evolution of your soul, however you perceive
or
that.
delaying it. Or delaying it, because what's going to happen is, if you don't take the time to do the work, the lesson you're supposed to get will just keep repeating on you, as we know, and it'll show up in all its forms. So
I don't know about you.
I don't want to come back to do this.
not the same ones, right? I mean, if there's new ones, I get it, but not the same ones. Yeah. So I think the point I wanted to make here is that there is a deep knowing of what our purpose is. Yeah. And we use this word often, Tassie. It's like, yes, but now we are spirit having this human experience.
Yes.
Now we have to almost extrapolate this purpose.
Yeah.
In the human experience. And so, and again, I just want to reiterate, we are enlightened. Okay, we're not here to become enlightened. If you are spirit, you are enlightened. It's there, it's lying within. We just have to recall it. That's the word that we use. I mean, we run a course on which we call recall. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's really, I suppose, giving our versions. And again, I don't think there's a right and wrong here. It's simply, I'm just going to share my kind of journey on how I have recalled.
Yeah.
What I'm now going to call my life purpose.
Yes. I love this. I'd actually like you to just further explain, when you do get into it, is like, I loved how you explained this to me. Life purpose versus soul purpose.
Soul purpose.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's been the kind of a real aha moment that I've had in the last 2 months, is really having to dig deep and say, well, okay, I'm very clear on my life purpose. And I have been for probably the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Absolute clarity on it, resonates 300%. And it's been my North Star. It's what I follow always. Is it doesn't matter what I'm doing in my life. I go back to my life purpose and say, okay, but is what you're choosing to do right now aligned to your life purpose? And if it's not, then the answer is no. So, but what came into my space in the last 2 months is, okay, is my life purpose my soul purpose?
Mm.
And the true and honest answer that I've come to is no.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had to really do a whole lot more work on figuring out my soul purpose, and then asking the critical question of, is my life and my soul purpose aligned?
Right.
Because imagine if they're not.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you're then on this journey. It may feel okay for the time being, but sooner or later, and I always say, soul it keeps knocking. It's this thing is, I mean, somebody asked me once, what's the difference between soul and ego? Because as humans, we have ego.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm really not going to sit here and tell you ego is wrong.
Ego doesn't exist. Yeah.
But I read a beautiful analogy once of this, where if you imagine ego sitting on the throne in the throne room.
Yes.
Right. And ego's there and like, okay, I rule and it's all cool. But then there's a knock at the door, and ego knows exactly who's knocking. It's soul. And ego says, go away, you're not welcome here. And soul says, all I want to do is share the throne with you.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're certainly not doing it. It's not going to happen and whatever. But the point is, soul keeps knocking.
Yes.
Soul never ever goes away. This is, soul will knock and knock and knock until soul does share that platform or that throne or whatever you want to call it, with ego, when there is then not balance but harmony kind of going on. So for me, this last 2 months, Desi, has really been digging deep into that soul purpose and really having amazing revelations as to what that is, and thankfully having this beautiful awareness that my soul and my life purpose are aligned. And then, and honestly, my life has taken on just a whole different, I want to say, frequency, vibration, joy. Yes. But it's an internal joy. So it's not a joy that I'm expecting or looking for externally. It's this inner joy. Yes. So it's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing. I don't know if you want to share anything around your, kind of where you are with this.
Well, before we do, if you were to just give us a definition, just in one sentence, soul versus life purpose, how would you describe what is?
Yeah, so life purpose for me is okay. So maybe this is how we, how do you figure out? Is really kind of thinking about or feeling, all right, what is my purpose on the planet? What creates those levels of joy, the passion? Yes. That when you wake up in the morning and you're about to go and do what you do, or be what you need to be, or feel what you need to feel, brings this level of passion and a knowing. It's a knowing, Taz, so deep that
it's unquestionable. Is no doubt.
It's unquestionable. Yeah. And that, even so, people take this now into a workspace, and I always say to people, I don't work. Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't. I just fulfill my life purpose, and it's such an amazing thing to do. When I'm with people, whether it's in a workshop or whatever, doing what I do, feeling what I feel, it's so hard to put into words. Yeah. But I just have moment after moment of like, wow. Yeah. Wow. And stuff happens in those spaces that
you can't script
never have.
Yeah, you just can't.
I can't script it.
No.
There's this kind of transcendence that happens, not just with the people that I'm with, but also in myself. Yeah. So I really put energy into this, and I have to share with people. There's an amazing guy that I follow called Simon Sinek.
Oh yeah.
I think Simon Sinek is amazing. I really do.
He is.
And a lot of people will see him as a very kind of like business orientated,
like a speaker.
Speaker, avatar, in the business space. And you wouldn't be wrong, because he does place quite a lot of focus on the business space and people within a business space or organizational spaces. But actually, the more I listen and I read his books, and I have a multitude of his books, the more I realize that he's, it's way beyond just business. He truly is.
He's speaking to life. He's speaking to life. He's speaking to life lessons, I feel, because I know initially when I watched him as well, it was very business orientated. But yeah, when you just take the content, aside from the context, just the content, what he's sharing, you can apply that to any part of your life. It's
absolutely right. So, messages. Which is where I'm going. And he wrote a beautiful book called Find Your Why. Mm-hmm. And in fact, he did a YouTube. I think up until recently, it may even still be. It was the most watched YouTube clip in the whole of YouTube, right? Wow. And he called it. It was actually a keynote he was doing, and he called it the Golden Circle. I don't want to go into the golden circle, but one of the
Yeah.
things he talks about in there, and it was to a business audience, but he talks about finding your why. Okay. And so I went on that journey, you know, myself, really kind of doing exactly this. Like, okay, so, I would just urge people to possibly even go and buy the book and use it as a guide, or listen to him even.
Yes.
But he does a similar thing, you know, he's just saying, sit with this. This doesn't come overnight.
No, for sure not.
It really didn't for me. I sat with this question, what is my life purpose? Honestly, Taz, for months on end. And I would journal, you know, different stuff would come. So in my quiet time or my meditative space,
yes,
stuff would come out. I would just note in my journal.
Sure.
But there were sort of common themes, or there was a common theme that kept coming up in different words and different ways that I was writing stuff.
Yes.
Simon also advises, you know, think about stories. Go back into childhood, you know, what were the things that inspired you?
Yes.
As a child? What stories did you love hearing or telling in your childhood? You know, all of these kind of beautiful examples kept coming up, or that he gives, and then which I was doing. And then I would ask myself, and I would say, well, okay, so this is coming up. How does this make me feel?
Yes. Important to ask those questions along the way, constantly. Again, checking 100%. In with yourself. You can't just get in your head about it, because you'll overanalyze. That leads to a whole different paralysis, honestly.
And you know, I am somebody that can go into my head.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get, you know, really kind of stuck in my head. But that thing of going into your heart, into that beautiful heart coherence, and saying, okay, so something's come up here, you know, a construct, a purpose, but how is that making me feel in my heart?
Yes.
Does this make me feel,
don't
know,
uncertain?
Yeah. Or am I literally, so again, getting out of the head and just dropping in to that heart space is very, very powerful. And then it's, you know, then to sit with it and also ask your question, well, if this was a purpose, what would I be called to do?
Yes.
Or experience today?
Yes. Yes.
Like mind-blowing, right? So what, and the other thing that also came up for me, Taz, was around really kind of sitting in this beautiful heart space and thinking, so this purpose, what's its origin?
Yes.
Is this origin coming from a desire or a need in Allison, the avatar?
Yeah.
Okay. Or is this something just so deep and so kind of part of my being?
Yes.
Versus this, you know, because I feel like the need often, for me, I cannot speak for other people, is linked to my ego.
Because it's almost like you want to adopt that as being truly part of you, when in actual fact, if you sit with the feeling and trust your intuitive guidance, your own compass within, you will realize that a lot of times you may be doing it, from ego, or from a point, or from a some conditioning that you are latching back onto.
A belief.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A
like,
belief,
you know, I grew up thinking,
programmed into.
Because you grew up thinking or hearing, or, you know, family members or whoever you were around at that time growing up, you know, this is what you should do. This is what you need to do. This is what you have to do. What do you want to do? That's really, what is your driving force, unquestionable driving force within you all the time. So that's kind of how it works for me.
I love that. And I love that you brought up the belief things, because, you know, we are so unconscious many of the times, and we spoke about this last time, of these beliefs that are that are dictating,
yeah,
where we're going and what we're doing in this, and through no fault of our own. Let me just say, I mean, this has been, part of being in the matrix, right? Is that, we are so programmed, and I mean, we know this happens, and there's no placing blame. It just is, Tassie, and it's
no. I mean, there are seeds that have been planted throughout our lives until we get this, these moments of recall and awakening.
And awakening and awareness, like, again.
Then you're like, okay, it's time for me to plant other seeds and take those out. They're not serving me. They haven't served me. Thanks for getting me this far, but like, now I need to start really, watering my own garden and tending to my own garden and planting my own seeds. It's really what it is about.
And I love that, because it's also about not being in judgment of your judgments.
No.
Okay. So in other words, don't be in judgment of those beliefs. They were there for whatever reason. They served a purpose for a period of time. And now, you through this work, the work, okay,
yes.
and what it is that you're choosing, you've made a choice.
Making the choice. Now you're making the choice. Yes.
This is the choice. I always say to people, no one can motivate you.
No, I love that. Oh, that's one of the greatest lessons I remember taking away from you, sitting in one of your sessions like years back. I was like, that was a light bulb moment for me. Nobody can motivate you, because it's like someone else cannot tell you how to be driven. They cannot tell you how hard to work. They cannot. It doesn't work that way. It's like flogging a dead horse. It's not gonna, it's
no. And but we live with this illusion that people can motivate you. Like, people will say, they often ask me, so, okay, well, what's the role of a captain in a team? Well, with all due respect, I mean, if you want to wear the green and gold of a Springbok rugby jersey or whatever it may be, whatever your favorite team is, I mean, you're seriously not waiting for, like, the captain, like a Sia Kolisi, who's the captain of the Springbok rugby team, South African rugby team, to motivate you to get into the gym and work out and be mega fit. I mean, that's not seriously.
And bring your best to every game,
and bring your best. That's not his role.
It's not his role. No.
His role is to absolutely lead by example, to inspire. See, now this is I want to say the counter. So someone else or something else can inspire you.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think we're inspired all the time, and actually kind of wake up every morning and look for those inspirations, because they're around you all the time. But what we do is we wake up in the morning and look for all the negatives, right? So look for those inspirations. But then there's a moment, I always say it's like the 0 point. Be aware that you are inspired, because if you're not aware, then you miss it. So if you're not being...
This is about being present, like, again, the things we're talking about, finding your purpose is not, the layers that get you there. They don't happen overnight. They take sometimes months. They can take years. And everybody's timeline, their journey is going to be right for them. Like, you cannot compare yourself. I cannot compare myself to you, and equally, I wouldn't expect you to compare your journey to mine. But if you slow down enough to feel into how you feel wherever you are doing whatever you're doing, you will actually find that there have been moments of inspiration or people who inspire you all the time. You may just not have seen it.
Exactly. So it's another tool for me.
Yes.
In finding that purpose, is finding those inspirations. But then, so there's the inspiration. Then you've got the space between.
Yes.
Right? You've got your inspiration and you've got motivation, sitting here. And then you've got a desired outcome.
Yes.
The desired outcome is not going to happen unless you choose in that moment of inspiration to be self-motivated.
Yes.
Okay. And it's like I always say, it's like that tipping point. It's like that 0 point of like, oh, I'm so inspired by that. I make the choice to be motivated in order for the desired outcome to manifest or materialize.
Yes.
But so many times we're inspired, and then it's like,
a blip. We don't even really pay it much attention. It's like, oh, okay. moving on, and then the
We
rest of the
truly-
steps get skipped.
Exactly. Or we get inspired and then we abdicate that space between
To someone
to external forces. Okay, so we'll
Yes.
say, I was so inspired by that, but you know what? This happened. The COVID
Yes. Yeah.
thing happened. The pandemic happened. The something happened in the country, or that, so then there is this, almost, sorry to say it, but kind of victim thing that goes
Yes.
on.
I was
That
going
I
to say
didn't,
that.
yeah, it didn't happen because of external things. You see, and again, the external environment is a manifestation of your internal
environment. True. Always.
Yeah.
As within, so without. We're going to say that. You're going to hear us say this often. It's so true.
I promise you, Tassie, I think if I say that once a day, I must say it like to myself, like over and over again. As within, so without.
I mean, this is why we spoke about this, I think, in the last video, about like energy and thought and all of those things that go with it. What you're thinking is what you're going to manifest in your life. No matter when it happens, no matter how it's going to look, it's going to be that way. And just as within, so without, it's everything. The body, the dis-ease, the mind, the energy, the spirit, all of it. You are, whatever you are feeling, you're going to see in your experiences in your life every single day.
And we do it on the collective too, Tassie.
Yes.
So, we're very quick to, sort of blame, global warming or whatever. But again, so what are we doing as a collective, humanity?
Yes.
This collective energy that is creating the external
experience.
And a beautiful example of this is when we win these, I mean, like when we won the Rugby World Cup,
Talk
which
about
we've done 3 times.
Talk about the collective.
Exactly. Absolutely. And you can physically feel it when it's, I mean, I think I always say what's so beautiful about South Africa is we've had such beautiful examples of that beautiful, positive collective energy.
Yeah.
And I know that not everything can exist in positivity. We need the polarity of
course.
But
what is possible? But what is possible is absolute magic.
100%. So, so to really get back to purpose, that the inspirations for me were really powerful tools. And then having to really question myself, okay, but Elle, you were inspired by that, but really didn't motivate you.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that really a purpose?
Yes.
Probably not. But what are the things that
yes,
that motivate you? My son was asked a question once by a prospective headmaster, and I loved this headmaster. What a
term
name, isn't it? I'm just
realizing. I know.
Anyway, this was an amazing man who was maybe a custodian of a school, right? And much better. And
feels much better.
Yeah, it does, right? I just like suddenly that was like, wow, what an awful name. But so we went in for this kind of just a chat and a meet and a whatever. And he said, by the way, this is a interaction with your son. So we were just like by the by there. But his opening question to my son was, if you were to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you know my son very well, at 4 o'clock in the morning is not happening in his world. He's so not a morning person, right?
Yeah.
But the question was, if you were to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and happily do it, what would be the one thing you would do? Without even thinking about it, you would say, oh yeah, I'm happy to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do that.
Yeah.
My son's response was art.
Yes.
Something creative, right? So that's another powerful question to ask yourself.
Very powerful. Absolutely powerful.
Just like, okay, and if another great one is, if money was not
an object. Yes, that's going to be my next question. Was the other one is always take money aside, take survival out of the picture, because a lot of us are operating from survival.
Yep.
Take all of that out the picture. Imagine everything you felt, because again, this is perception that that we think we need to have everything in place. Imagine everything was in place. What would you do? What would you do that absolutely sparks joy in your life? Because for me, that is the most important thing, is the joy.
The joy. Yes. And the joy, leads to, the joy is the passion, is the,
Absolutely.
leads to the motivation, leads to, absolutely. And I think these are golden kind of questions that have guided us. And I just will share. So I journaled, I for weeks on end.
Yeah.
Kind of got to one that I thought, this is kind of it, but it was never felt 100%. And then I literally one night woke up in the middle of the night. So I don't know where I'd been in the astral, but I literally woke up like wide awake. And you know me, that's not things, I don't wake up like instantaneously wide awake. It takes a while. But I woke up, I sat bolt upright in bed, and I had it. I absolutely knew this is my life purpose. Thankfully, I sleep with a pen and a little notebook.
I was exactly the same. Yeah.
And I grabbed that and I just wrote my purpose, and that has been my North Star for
the longest time. Yeah.
For the longest time. And as I said, no matter what decision I am making for Alison, for me, whether it's a prospective new client, whether it is in a circle of new people that I'm meeting, it honestly, whether it's like, okay, how do you want to spend your day, Al? I go to my life purpose. I go to that North Star, and I say, well, whatever I'm about to do now, whatever I'm about to experience or action, is it aligned to my North Star?
Your purpose. Yeah.
To my purpose. And I've said no to clients, Taz, you know this.
Same. Yeah, absolutely. And this is being true to yourself, because if you sell yourself out, you're not going to make that outcome, that dream come to fruition, manifest in reality. Yeah. It's never going to be alive for you to experience ever if you sell yourself short.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then everything shifts, literally everything shifts. It just becomes a joy to be able to do
clarity. For me, there's clarity.
And so let's bring this back to work, because a lot of people just say, okay, so what's my purpose? And it must be work related. No, this infiltrates into every aspect of your life, every aspect of your essence of who you are. And it's the air that you breathe.
And I just want to coming back to our previous video, we speak about being a multidimensional being. And I don't want people to also I don't want us to get locked into thinking that the purpose only has one, what's the word? Kind of, it looks only one way, that it manifests in only one avenue. Being multidimensional means that you can actually access this purpose, manifest this purpose in multiple ways, in multiple avenues.
And that's what's so beautiful. Absolutely.
We are so capable of that. And yet we keep thinking, and this is a narrative I grew up listening to from my elders, was always, you can only be good at one thing. And I'm sure a lot of us have heard this. You can only be really good at one thing. You'll fail if you take on more than one thing. So figure out what the one thing is that you want to do. And early on in life, I thought this was how it was supposed to be. I'll just do that one thing and put all my eggs in that one basket, and I'll focus on the one thing. There was zero motivation.
There
was zero joy.
It
was just an outcome, which was a means of living this life, a trade for living in this life, which is the money. That was all there was. But did it bring me?
The trap.
It didn't bring me anything. And then it was a trap. That's where we
Yeah.
end up. And I know so many of us are in a trap.
Yeah.
We are in a trap with this false sense of security, because now we are
100%.
reliant on another to be our source of life, really, in this experience on this earth.
Yep. So it's the external again.
Yes.
So we rely on this external, you know, and money, Tassie, we've said it so often before, you know, money is simply energy.
Simply an energy.
You know, it really is. If you understand that everything, including us, is energy. All right, we are energetic, and so money itself is energy, and we know energy has to flow.
Yep.
Right, like we say in the body, if it doesn't flow, there is a blockage. And then we get a dis-ease. Well, the same with the energy of money. If it is not flowing, then
there's a block.
You are creating a blockage.
There is a block, because you are not, there's no alignment. For me, there isn't an alignment.
And you know, I mean, and this may be like a simple thing, but I've always been somebody who, you know, if I get a traffic fine, I pay it, Tassie.
Yeah.
You know, because what I understand is that in the ordered kind of space, and the universe is ordered, no matter how quantum it is, there is order. I understand that in this, you know, where I choose to live right now, whatever, there has to be some semblance of order. And so part of that order is, you know, you can't be traveling at 300 kilometers an hour. Imagine if we all were, it wouldn't work, right? So I understand that there has to be some kind of order placed.
Yes.
And so if I choose to violate that order, then at some point there may be a consequence. And when that consequence pops up, I am literally, the minute I get that traffic fine, I'm like, you know what, I'll take accountability and responsibility. You were speeding. And I pay that immediately, because for me, if I don't, and I'm hacking about it, and I'm like, then I am restricting
the flow.
You know, I mean, just use a random example of kind of every day. But yeah, you know, so I think we've done a lot around that life purpose, Tassie. I just want to say the journey of my soul purpose.
Yeah.
Very hard to even articulate in words, but I really had to go into spaces I've never been before. I will just say that. And be brutally honest, deeply vulnerable, real deep spaces of humility.
Yes.
To kind of almost clear the way, I want to say, for that soul message to come forward,
yeah.
to kind of make itself known. And I mean, and you know, we spoke about in our last video that the soul is kind of like the vehicle, you know, it's this beautiful vehicle that aligns spirit and body,
the physical body,
in the physical body. And so if one keeps that top of mind, and you know, I think we are doing this with intent, Tassie, just to tell the viewers not to share our life purpose or soul purpose with you guys, because it then creates a preconceived idea.
Yes.
And you don't want to be stuck in a preconceived
in someone else's purpose. Yes, for sure.
You need to be completely open and limitless in truly allowing this to
reveal itself.
To reveal itself, to recall. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I will share that when the soul purpose was revealed, or when I just, in this beautiful soul space that I was in, I mean, it was so profound. It was a deeply emotional experience.
Yeah.
But it was an absolute knowing that this is why I am here in this time, in this space, in this moment. And it's been profound. I mean, it's really been profound. So that's kind of me, Tassie. I don't feel the need to say anything more.
Yeah. Thanks, Al, for sharing so much of your journey to purpose and understanding what that is for you. And I think that is something I want to start off with, if I talk about my story and purposes, is that it's a journey. And for me, my journey was like a really, I would say, brutal awakening in a really tangibly painful sense. And that started with the dis-ease, because I was just not in a place that was serving me in my life, in all aspects of my life. But it manifested obviously at work, because that's where I spent most of my time and gave most of my energy away. But there were so many other parts of my life that were not synchronized for my greatest good. And for me to live the best life that I can. So my journey really started with, I think, offloading a lot of things that were not serving me. And I started with simple exercises, like listing all the things that I felt were negative, that were things I did not enjoy. I felt like I needed to purge myself of that. And I did a lot of this. I mean, through my healing journey as well, but that's a whole other video we'll have. But through my healing journey, this was really a part of how I got to purpose. And so there was lots of writing these lists, these endless journal entries, and just burning it all, just transmuting it through fire, right?
Beautiful.
And as I kept doing that, more and more of what I felt so passionate about, so joyful about, started appearing in my life. Information would come, in my inbox, or I'd see it in a magazine article, or, someone would just send me something and say, just have a look at this. And we'd be like, completely no link for me. I would be like, why would this even come up for me? It makes no sense. But the minute you sit with it, it again comes back to being so present, feeling what you were feeling and acknowledging it. And actually I did a post on Instagram a few days ago about being present to feel it all. So if I wasn't able to do that, I don't think I would acknowledge these messages that were coming to me. These almost like, I feel they were like breadcrumbs that were leading me to where I needed to be. And now, if I can sum what it was all about, it was the same thing that kept waking me up at night, that I dreamed of when I could recall dreams. And as with Alison, I also have a book next to my bed. So if there's a note that comes up, whether it's toilet break or waking up from a dream, it's right there, it's being noted. And I just kept, it was the one thing I kept researching. Whenever I had a spare moment, I was always researching this one topic. I mean, obviously there's so many layers to it. Again, it comes back to being multidimensional and accessing all the ways you can live your purpose. But it was this one thing, the one topic kept coming up. I kept finding myself in situations where this was, I was being asked to assist in a particular way.
It's a golden thread.
Absolutely. And it was just weaving this beautiful tapestry that I eventually realized, without a doubt, that this is what I am meant to do here. This is how I serve in my capacity as a spirit having human experience,
Yeah.
how I serve humanity and the animal kingdom and nature, all of it together. And still now I will always find things like, what is the next thing I can watch, a webinar I can watch, a person I can something that I can attend, that I can read up on, a book that I can get. It's always around the same, it's always in the same vein. For me, that's how I know. It sparks joy, it ignites a passion within me, a fire within my belly. It drives me always. And then intuition. It's that, like I said earlier, it's that inner compass that we have, and it's never failed me. And if you don't know what your intuition is, this is your moment to get well acquainted with your intuition.
It's not your mind, is all.
No, it's definitely not. It's not your mind. It's really not your mind. It is. It's like I'll say it, it's a deep knowing. It's just a knowing. And when these messages and these I would call them messages and signs or whatever you want to call them, when they come into your space, that your intuition is almost like it's tickled. It's like,
it's like, yes.
That's it, it's like
it's a synchronicity.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like I said, because all these things start showing up, don't disregard them, because they are all, those are the synchronicities. That's the magic that's happening. It's happening in front of you, but you need to be present enough to see it. And if there's one thing that I've learned over the years, and Al knows this, I am a huge procrastinator when it comes to myself. Why? Because initially there was like just so much doubt. And it's not to say that that I don't still have that off sometimes, but all I can say is just do it. Just leap, take the leap and lean into it fully and just do it. What happens and what opens up for you is beyond anything I think Al or I can actually explain or share. And
exactly. Just sorry to interrupt, babe. No. But I mean, it's like we even were saying the other day, we weren't recording, we were just talking about, having an amazing share. But we were saying how the English or the language, let's just use language now, but we choose to speak in English, doesn't have the words anymore.
No.
To almost to describe kind of what we're experiencing or what has been going through. And just something that came to me, Tazzy, while you were sharing, so beautiful. Something that started happening for me is I could almost download stuff.
Yes.
So when it came to my purpose, it was like, I'd be standing, maybe doing a workshop or something, and stuff would come out.
Yes.
So sorry, where did that come from? Like, I haven't read up on this, or like, what is this? It was almost like, like you open up this channel.
You did. That's exactly what I was going to say. You have opened the channel the minute you acknowledge the recall of purpose. Why you chose the contract you did to be here in this moment in time, in this place. I swear, it is like the floodgates open. And so for me, it's so funny you say that, Al, because I have these moments, these downloads, whenever I'm near water, which is why I love being at the beach. Like, water is, I'm a Taurus, but water is like totally my element of choice if I have to ever choose one. So if I'm in the shower...
I'm Pisces. You'd think water is mine. I mean, I love water, whatever, but fire is mine. I think it's
these are things to also be like aware of and take notes of, So I've got a notebook everywhere. Like, if you looked at my laptop, there are post-its everywhere. I've got a post-it wherever I am. I know there's always going to be something I need to jot down, or I voice record it. So that's the other thing I do as well. It's like, these things, they might seem minor in the beginning when you start getting these synchronicities and everything starts coming into your space, but just find a way to make notes of it. But coming back to when I get these downloads, it's often when I'm in the shower. It's always when there's water flowing. Washing dishes. I swear I have to stop half the time when I'm washing dishes and just like, oh my God, if I don't take this down, like note of this right now, I'm going to lose it. But it is honestly because I think it's, for me, it's because I've welcomed it into my space. And I've said, I am ready. I embrace you as my purpose, whatever your purpose is for you. You will just know. Again, Al is so right. We can't share exactly what our purposes are because then you start thinking it's got to look a certain way and feel. For you, it will always be right. And if it's a nagging sense of something you need to do, then you need to explore it. Because also, if you don't explore it, you honestly won't know. It will always be a what if.
And I think maybe just that we end on this, Taz, but you know, I think we also live in this illusion that everything's a pink cloud.
Yeah.
And in this journey, it's not all about, you know, just waking up and every day being positive and whatever. I mean, that is not life. Okay, that is not.
No.
With all due respect to some of the self-help stuff out there and everything else. I mean, you know, we live on a plane of duality. So in this journey, trust me when I tell you, there will be stuff that will come up and you like, wow, okay, where did that come from? And you know, it's like these beliefs and things like that. So I mean, I don't want to be in any way a downer here, but but you have to be realistic, okay, that this journey is so profound on so many levels. But don't be in the illusion that it is just all kumbaya and, you know, the sort of pink cloud and it's fabulous and whatever. There is, this journey is such a beautiful journey of exploration and of everything.
It's hard, it's rewarding, it's joyful, it's deeply sad some days.
Yes.
And if Elle and I were to tell you about the last few days, it's like we both know we were just not feeling great, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel that people think that, you know, once you kind of start going on this journey of rediscovery, of recall, of remembering all of who you are and what you are and your purpose, that it's roses and unicorns and marshmallow fluffy clouds. I mean, there are rainy, stormy days on, you know, on this journey, but all of it, if you got to take all of it. It's all or nothing. That is really how you've got to approach it. It's all or nothing, and just flow with it. Whatever you are dealt with that day, that moment, just flow with it. And have a tribe. You need to have like-minded people.
Key.
And I feel that's also how, for me, my purpose really started coming to life, and I started giving life to it in my daily is through the like-minded people that I have, like you, Al, like other friends of mine who are in the same, they are in the same energetic space, thinking space, feeling space, intuitive space. Those are all important things to also, you know, count in on your journey to purpose, to understanding and rediscovering your purpose.
I couldn't agree more, Tazzy. And it's not, I mean, I don't want anybody listening or watching this to think, oh, but, you know, then it's a judgment of others. There is zero judgment of anybody on where they are on their journeys and the choices that they are making. That's the beautiful thing about us having this human experience, is that we have free will and we can choose to be wherever we want to, or we feel we need to be at any given moment. To your point, Tazzy, of yes, what has made this journey, I don't want to say easier, because I mean, it hasn't always been easy.
Yeah.
But what's made it just the holding space, which is what we're attempting to do on this platform, has been I mean, I even get goosebumps as I talk about this. It's been a life, I mean, it's been part of, I think, again, I don't have the words for it. It's just been so important to know that, oh, wow, I'm going to put this out there. It'll be safe. It's in the safe space. People will hear me and see me. They might not fully get it, but they will just hold the space for me. And I think, so to your point, exactly, find your tribe, find your circle. This is why we are doing what we're doing. You are invited to be part of our circle, part of our tribe.
Absolutely.
And you just need to be bringing energetically to this what it is that you are feeling and needing and whatever. And that's why we say, please comment and reach out to us if you do want to do some kind of initiative with us, some kind of a journey with us. I think that's
there's really always a seat at our table. That's
100%. Always a seat in our circle.
Always.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a great place to end this one, Tassie, although it never ends, right? It continues out there in the ether. But yes, please, as we say, please post your comments. Hopefully this has been of some value.
Yeah.
And we really look forward to the interaction with you. I talk about a place of mutuality. So, we need to understand that there's mutual value, that did you get something from this, as we always get from doing these sessions. So, and I look forward to the next one, Tassie.
Thank you so much, Al. Thanks everybody who who now watching this now. I hope that it brings you value. I hope it inspires you to step into your purpose, or if you just on the beginning, know that it is a worthy journey to undertake.
Totally.
So much love.
Lots of love and always in light.
Always.